Hey everyone, today's hottest news came straight from live TV where Jimmy Kimmel's show turned into a full-blown controversy. This time, his guest was Karoline Leavitt, and she ended up saying things that left the entire studio stunned. The moment Karoline started making her points, the mood shifted, and you could literally see Jimmy's smile slowly fading. What happened in this interview wasn't just shocking for the audience but also exploded across social media like wildfire. People were glued to their screens, and within minutes, clips started going viral, with everyone talking about how both Karoline was on live television. At first, everything seemed pretty normal. Jimmy, as always, kicked things off with his usual witty and playful style. The audience was laughing along, and the vibe was relaxed. But Karoline had clearly come prepared, and she wasn't there just for laughs. She quickly pivoted the conversation to serious topics, diving right onto what she described as hard truths that mainstream media often ignores. As she laid out her points with calm confidence, Jimmy's expressions started changing, and it became clear that this was not going to be an ordinary interview at all. Karoline's first big truth bomb was about government accountability. She didn't hold back as she criticized policies and decisions she felt were misleading the public. She mentioned specific examples, citing data and reports, which left Jimmy momentarily speechless. The audience, who had come expecting lighthearted fun, now sat in complete silence, hanging on to every word. Jimmy tried to steer the conversation back to a lighter note, but Karoline was determined to keep the focus on issues that mattered, and she wasn't backing down. Things started heating up when Karoline pointed out what she called the media's role in shaping false narratives. She boldly stated that many networks, including late-night shows, contribute to misinformation by presenting biased opinions disguised as facts. This hit a nerve, and you could see Jimmy shifting in his chair, trying to compose a response. The tension in the room was undeniable. It was one of those rare live moments where you know you're witnessing something that will be talked about for days to come. Jimmy, known for his sharp comebacks, wasn't going to stay quiet for long. He responded with a mix of sarcasm and defense, saying that his show was meant for entertainment, not hard news. But Karoline was quick to counter, saying that even entertainment platforms have a responsibility when they touch on real-world issues. The exchange became a bit more heated, with both of them trying to make their points while keeping their cool. The audience was clearly torn between their loyalty to Jimmy and their curiosity about what Karoline had to say next. One of the most jaw-dropping moments came when Karoline brought up recent political events that had been underreported or skewed in the media. She cited sources and named incidents that many in the audience weren't even aware of. You could hear murmurs spreading through the crowd as people processed the information. Jimmy, still trying to regain control of the interview, attempted to inject humor, but the weight of the conversation kept pulling things back to a serious tone. It was a tug-of-war between comedy and confrontation. Karoline's calm yet firm demeanor became the highlight of the segment. She didn't raise her voice or get visibly agitated. Instead, she let her words do all the heavy lifting. That made her points even more impactful. Jimmy, visibly unsettled but trying to maintain his professionalism, asked if Karoline believed there was any hope for positive change. She answered thoughtfully, saying that change is possible, but only if people start questioning what they're being told and seek out the truth for themselves. As the discussion continued, Karoline touched on freedom of speech and how it's increasingly being threatened by cancel culture and media censorship. This was another hot-button topic, and the audience's reactions were mixed. Some clapped, others seemed uneasy. Jimmy pressed her on whether her views might be seen as extreme, but Karoline remained steady, explaining that her concerns were rooted in a desire for transparency and fairness. It was clear by now that this interview had veered far from its expected course. Midway through the show, things got even more intense. Jimmy, perhaps feeling cornered, started challenging Karoline's facts, asking for proof and clarification. Karoline, unfazed, pulled out notes and references, showing that she hadn't come unprepared. The back and forth turned into a debate, with the live audience witnessing an unscripted clash of perspectives. Cameras zoomed in on the two as they exchanged words, and the tension was thick enough to cut with a knife. What made this interview even more gripping was the live format. There was no editing, No cutting away, everything was happening in real time. Viewers at home flooded social media with their thoughts, some praising Karoline for her bravery and others defending Jimmy. It was a digital storm, and hashtags related to the interview quickly started trending. Analysts and commentators began weighing in, dissecting every word and gesture, turning this segment into a full-blown national conversation. Toward the end of the segment, Jimmy seemed to soften a bit, acknowledging that Karoline had brought up some points worth thinking about. He admitted that while he didn't agree with everything she said, it was important to have open discussions, even uncomfortable ones. Karoline appreciated the gesture and reiterated that her goal wasn't to attack but to spark dialogue. This moment of mutual respect brought a brief calm after the stormy exchange, and the audience applauded the civil ending to a heated debate. As the credits rolled, the buzz didn't die down. Clips of the interview were immediately uploaded online, and within hours, millions of views had racked up. News outlets jumped on the story, replaying the most dramatic moments and interviewing media experts about its impact. Karoline's supporters hailed her as a truth-teller, while Jimmy's fans praised his composure under pressure. It was one of those rare TV moments that crossed into mainstream culture and became a talking point everywhere. Behind the scenes, reports suggested that the production team hadn't expected the interview to take such a serious turn. Staff members were seen discussing the unexpected twist, and insiders hinted that Jimmy himself was taken aback by Karoline's directness. Some even speculated whether the show would address the segment in upcoming episodes, given the overwhelming public response. Whatever the case, it was clear that this interview had left a lasting mark. Karoline, on her part, took to social media to thank viewers for listening with an open mind. She posted clips and follow-up thoughts, emphasizing her key messages about media responsibility and public awareness. Her posts received thousands of shares and comments, with people from both sides of the political spectrum chiming in. It was evident that her appearance had amplified her voice on a much larger scale, and she wasn't planning to back down anytime soon. Jimmy also addressed the event in his next show's monologue, making light of how things got a little out of hand but stressing that his platform was open to all kinds of voices. He poked fun at himself and even replayed a few clips from the interview, showing he wasn't afraid to laugh at the situation. This move won him some praise for his humility, and fans appreciated that he didn't shy away from revisiting the moment. Experts and media critics weighed in too, analyzing the interview from all angles. Some praised Jimmy for giving a platform to differing viewpoints, while others criticized the handling of the interview. Meanwhile, Karoline's performance was dissected for its clarity and preparedness, with many acknowledging that she had managed to stay on point despite the pressure. That discussion extended to news panels and podcasts, ensuring the topic stayed alive for days. As days passed, the ripple effects of the interview continued. Polls and surveys showed a spike in viewers' interest in media accountability and freedom of speech issues. Universities and debate clubs picked up the topic, hosting discussions and forums inspired by what they saw on the show. It was clear that this wasn't just another celebrity interview. It had sparked a broader cultural conversation that wasn't fading anytime soon. Karoline's profile rose significantly after the interview. Invitations poured in from other networks, podcasts, and events. She became a regular feature on news programs, further sharing her insights and expanding her platform. The interview with Jimmy was often referenced as the moment that propelled her into national prominence, and she acknowledged that it had opened doors she never expected. Jimmy's show also saw a ratings boost, with many curious viewers tuning in after hearing about the explosive interview. The buzz brought new eyes to his platform, and while not everyone agreed with what happened, the show benefited from the heightened attention. It became a case study in how live TV can produce unpredictable and powerful moments that resonate far beyond the studio. In the end, the Jimmy Kimmel and Karoline Leavitt interview stood as a reminder of the power of live television and open debate. It showed how conversations, no matter how uncomfortably, are vital for a healthy democracy. Both walked away with lessons learned in bigger audiences, proving that when two strong voices collide, the world watches. And as viewers, we were all reminded that sometimes, the most unexpected moments create the most lasting impact.